It was a sweltering August morning in Memphis, Tennessee. The sun was a relentless furnace, casting a harsh light over the city. Inside the mansion at Graceland, the air was thick and still, heavy with the weight of silence. In one of the upstairs bedrooms, the curtains were drawn, and the room was dim. On the bed, under a crumpled sheet, lay a figure that the world knew all too well. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, was not moving. His face, once so vibrant and full of life, was now pale and slack. His chest, which had once pumped with the rhythm of 1,000 hearts, was still. His hands, those hands that had mesmerized millions with their graceful dance on the guitar, now lay motionless by his sides. Aunt Delta, Elvis's devoted aunt, had just walked into the room. Her eyes widened in horror as she took in the scene. She rushed to the bed, her hands shaking as she reached out to touch his face. It was cold. She called out to him, her voice breaking, but there was no response. The room was filled with the heavy silence of a nightmare. Outside, the world continued to spin, oblivious to the tragedy that had just unfolded. But for those who loved Elvis, the world would never be the same again. The king was dead, and with him a part of the soul of a generation. The news spread like wildfire. Fans gathered outside Graceland, their faces pale and eyes red from crying. They couldn't believe it. How could the man who had given them so much joy, who had been the soundtrack to their lives, be gone? It was a day that would forever be etched in the memory of millions. But before we can truly understand the impact of that day, we need to go back to the beginning. We need to understand the man who became a legend, the boy who grew up in a small, two-room house in East Tupelo, Mississippi. We need to follow the journey of Elvis Presley, from the shy, guitar-strumming kid to the larger-than-life icon who captured the hearts of the world. This is the story of Elvis Presley, a story of dreams, passion, and the price of fame. It's a story that begins in a place where the cotton fields stretch as far as the eye can see, and the blues echo through the night. It's a story that will take us from the dusty roads of Mississippi to the bright lights of Hollywood, from the heights of glory to the depths of despair. But it all starts here, on this sweltering August morning, with the silence of a room and the end of an era. Elvis Presley's life was a series of highs and lows, filled with remarkable moments and complex relationships. His connection with Mahalia Jackson, the legendary gospel singer, was one of the more profound musical influences in his life. From a young age, Elvis had a deep admiration for Mahalia's powerful voice and emotional delivery. He even recorded her hit, "Take My Hand, Precious Lord," a song that resonated deeply with him. In 1970, Elvis was introduced to Mahalia by actress Barbara McNair on the set of Change of Habit. This meeting was a significant moment, as it brought together two of the most influential voices in American music. Mary Tyler Moore, who starred with Elvis in Change of Habit, later joked about the rumor that Elvis had slept with all his co-stars except one. She playfully added, "I know who the one was, and what was I thinking?" This lighthearted comment revealed the camaraderie and respect between the two stars, despite the rumors that often surrounded Elvis. Elvis's entourage, known as the Memphis Mafia, was a tight-knit group of friends and protectors. In December 1970, they gathered for Sonny West's wedding, all dressed up with deputy sheriff badges. The group included Elvis's cousin Billy Smith, former Sheriff Bill Morris, Lamar Fike, Jerry Schilling, Sheriff Roy Nixon, Elvis's father Vernon Presley, Charlie Hodge, Sonny West, George Klein, and Marty Lacker. Dr. Nishapoulos, known as Dr. Nick, was also present, along with Elvis and Red West. This image captures a moment of joy and camaraderie in the midst of Elvis's increasingly hectic and stressful life. Jackie Wilson was another significant influence on Elvis. During Elvis's unsuccessful engagement in Las Vegas in 1956, he went to see Billy Ward and his Dominoes, where Wilson was the lead singer. Elvis was impressed by Wilson's rendition of "Don't Be Cruel," believing that Wilson sang it better than he did on the record. Years later, in the early 1970s, Elvis met Wilson backstage after another of his shows, a moment that highlighted the mutual respect between the two artists. Elvis's life was not without its dramatic moments. In December 1970, a family row led to Elvis running away and even calling on President Nixon at the White House. This unusual and highly publicized event was a testament to the intense pressures and personal struggles Elvis faced. Despite the challenges, Elvis always dreamed of a happy family life. A photograph taken around 1970 of Elvis, Priscilla, and their daughter, Lisa Marie, captures a moment of contentment and love. This image is often seen as one of the closest Elvis ever came to achieving the family life he had always imagined. Elvis's choice of backing singers, the Sweet Inspirations, was inspired by their performances on albums by Aretha Franklin, Wilson Pickett, and Dusty Springfield. The group, consisting of Miana Smith, Sylvia Shemwell, Estelle Brown, and Cissy Houston, Whitney Houston's mother, added a powerful and soulful element to Elvis's live shows. Priscilla Presley often expressed her dislike for the increasingly ornate and rhinestone-studded outfits Elvis wore on stage. However, Elvis was influenced by Liberace and believed that a spectacle was important for his audience. This belief was put to the test in 1973, when an estimated 1 billion viewers watched Elvis's satellite TV show, Aloha from Hawaii. At the end of every show, the announcement, "Elvis has left the building," would ring out, followed by Elvis being rushed off stage by his minders, including Joe Esposito. This ritual became a famous part of Elvis's performances, symbolizing the end of the show and the beginning of Elvis's retreat into his private world. Among Elvis's later girlfriends, Linda Thompson, the former Miss Tennessee, was particularly popular among the Memphis Mafia. However, like Priscilla before her, Linda rarely had Elvis to herself. In 1974, a photograph captured the two of them, accompanied by Elvis's longtime minder Red West, highlighting the complex dynamics of Elvis's personal life. Security concerns and kidnap threats were a constant worry for Elvis in his later years. He invested heavily in a small armory for himself and his entourage, and even took to the stage with a handgun in each boot. This level of security reflected the growing paranoia and fear that shadowed his life. Elvis and his girlfriend, 20-year-old Ginger Alden, took their last holiday together in Hawaii in March 1977. This trip was a bittersweet moment, a final escape before the end of Elvis's life. The photograph of them during this trip captures a serene and peaceful moment, a stark contrast to the tumultuous times that were to come. Elvis Presley's journey was far from simple. Born in a small two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis was the son of Vernon and Gladys Presley. His early years were marked by poverty and the struggles of the Great Depression. Despite the hardships, young Elvis found solace in music, often singing in church with his family. He was particularly drawn to the gospel tunes he heard at the Assembly of God Church, where his mother Gladys was a devoted member. When Elvis was 13, his family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, in search of better opportunities. It was in Memphis that Elvis's musical talents began to flourish. He would often listen to the radio, absorbing various genres like country, blues, and gospel. His unique blend of these styles would later define his sound. In 1953, at the age of 18, Elvis walked into Sun Records to record a song for his mother as a birthday gift. The studio owner, Sam Phillips, recognized Elvis's raw talent and saw potential in him. Phillips began to work with Elvis, and in 1954, they recorded "That's All Right," which became a local hit. This marked the beginning of Elvis's career. His performances on local radio and at the Louisiana Hayride helped him gain a following. His energetic stage presence and distinctive voice quickly made him a sensation. However, his hip-shaking moves and rebellious image also drew criticism from conservative adults who saw him as a threat to traditional values. Elvis's fame grew rapidly, and he soon signed with RCA Victor, a major record label. His first single with RCA, "Heartbreak Hotel," became a massive hit, solidifying his status as a star. He also began to appear on national television shows, including The Ed Sullivan Show, where his performances caused a stir and further boosted his popularity. As Elvis's career took off, his personal life became more complex. He fell in and out of relationships, including a notable one with Priscilla Beaulieu, whom he met when he was in the Army. They married in 1967, and their daughter, Lisa Marie, was born in 1968. However, their marriage was not without its challenges. Elvis's demanding schedule, drug use, and the pressures of fame strained their relationship. Elvis's drug use, which began in the 1960s, worsened over the years. He was prescribed various medications for his health issues, but he also used recreational drugs, including prescription painkillers and amphetamines. This addiction took a toll on his health and contributed to his declining performances in the 1970s. Despite his personal struggles, Elvis continued to perform and record music. His Las Vegas shows in the 1970s were particularly notable, showcasing his ability to blend rock and roll, gospel, and country music. He also released several successful albums during this period, including From Elvis in Memphis and Elvis, Aloha from Hawaii, a live concert broadcast that reached a global audience. Elvis's relationship with his father, Vernon, and his stepmother, Dee, was often tense. Vernon, who had a history of financial troubles, became more involved in Elvis's business affairs. However, Elvis's entourage, known as the Memphis Mafia, also played a significant role in his life, providing both support and companionship. Elvis's final years were marked by a series of health issues, including weight gain, high blood pressure, and liver problems. He continued to perform, but his shows were often erratic, and he struggled with his energy levels. On August 16, 1977, Elvis was found dead in his bathroom at Graceland. His death at the age of 42 shocked fans around the world and marked the end of an era in music. Elvis's legacy, however, lives on. He is remembered as the King of Rock and Roll, and continues to influence generations of musicians. His music, from the early rock and roll hits to his later gospel and country recordings, remains beloved by fans. Graceland, his home in Memphis, has become a pilgrimage site for music lovers, and his story continues to captivate people around the world. Despite the controversies and challenges, Elvis Presley's impact on popular culture is undeniable. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, left behind a legacy that continues to influence and inspire people around the world. His life was a mix of incredible highs and deep lows, a story that many of us find both fascinating and heart-wrenching. From his humble beginnings in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis rose to become a global superstar. His unique blend of rock, country, and blues music, combined with his electrifying stage presence, captivated audiences everywhere. He wasn't just a singer, he was a performer who could make people feel every note and word he sang, but fame came with a price. The pressures of being a celebrity, the constant attention, and the isolation from normal life took a toll on Elvis. He struggled with personal relationships, health issues, and a growing dependence on drugs. These challenges made his life increasingly difficult and contributed to his early death at the age of 42. Despite his struggles, Elvis's impact on music and culture is undeniable. He broke down barriers and brought different genres of music together, influencing countless artists who followed in his footsteps. His songs like Heartbreak Hotel, Love Me Tender, and Suspicious Minds are still loved and played today. Elvis's story is a reminder that even the most successful and talented people can face significant challenges. It's a story about the power of music to bring joy and the importance of staying true to oneself, even in the face of overwhelming pressure. Today, fans and new generations continue to celebrate Elvis's life and music. Graceland, his home in Memphis, Tennessee, is a place where people from all over the world come to remember and honor him. The legacy of Elvis Presley lives on, a testament to the enduring magic of his music and the indelible mark he left on the world.